to the program. Now, the campaign season is slowly coming to an end and the much-awaited elections are almost here with us. The governing All Progressives Congress and its presidential candidate, Bulama Tinubu, have taken their campaign to Kano State, promising that if elected, he will serve the people of Kano and Nigeria as a whole through his renewed hope agenda. Tinubu was welcomed by a massive crowd, further backing his belief that in February he will be victorious at the polls. Kano State is one of the battleground states, and the large turnout seems to be comforting news for the governing All Progressives Congress. All of this comes amid the recent endorsements from various political leaders for other political party candidates like Peter Obi of the Labour Party. But the APC seems to be unfazed in all of this, as the large turnout today in a key state like Kano is leaving them feeling more confident. So how is the APC approaching the 2023 general elections? Can it retain the presidency? Let's listen to them.
In Kano State, we have taken all the variables into consideration. But the most important is the credentials of our presidential candidate and the credentials of his running mate.
I will serve you, serve Nigeria. I kept my promise. Always. Always. God bless you.
APC presidential candidate Bulama Tinubu there, and of course the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje. Well, joining us now is Waziri Bulama, a former national secretary of Nigeria's governing party, the APC. An architect by profession, he is also a member of the APC National Advisory Council and the National Caucus. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the APC seems to be upbeat about winning next month's election. We've seen, this massive crowds in Kano today. But a lot of people are saying that apart from showing that, APC is strong in Kano, nonetheless, people should not be carried away by this huge turnout. Because it happened in 2019 for several parties who went to Kano. At the end of the day, the votes may not necessarily reflect all this a huge number of persons who are at the rallies. What do you make of all of that?
Well, first, I want to start by saying that our party is big and national, and we have leadership, in about 22 states, in over 20 states. We have, we're in control of the National Assembly, as you all know. And the outcome of the 2019 elections, placed us well ahead of all the other parties in the country. Therefore, we are strong and on ground in all the states of the Federation. Even where we don't have governors, we have very strong stakeholders and political leaders representing those communities, in our party in those other states. Now, what you saw in Kano is not an accident. Kano is one of the biggest, states and population centers in this country. And we are very popular in Kano. We are in firm control of Kano. We have majority. We have the governor. We have the majority in the House of Assembly. We have the senators, as well as the House of we are represented. In the House of Representatives, and in fact, the majority leader of the House of Representatives is from our party, is from Kano. So we are well represented in Kano, and that huge outcome, that outing today, it's a success of not only our presence and our strength in Kano, but it's also evidence of our successful mobilization effort. For this campaign, you see, our party and our leadership, led by President Muhammadu Buhari and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they promote, first and foremost, democracy and rule of law. Since you say we came, that is what brought us as a party in 2013, really, to deepen democracy, and rule of law. So we are fighting for every vote, in the next election, just as we have also fought for every, vote in our previous elections. So we have several lines of campaign organizations. We have registered support groups, for instance, in the thousands today. The Daily Trust, for instance, published a list of nearly 1,500 voluntary support groups who are registered with our party and who are campaigning and working for our party. At the top, we have the Presidential Campaign Council, composed by the party leadership as well as the presidential candidate. We also have another, independent campaign council called Grassroots Campaign that takes up from where the major campaign like this rally, stops, that goes, we have team that goes from door to door, office to house, house to house, community to community, to sensitize, mobilize, people to, take the voting. So this is a show of our successful
of
mobilization effort.
Yeah,
mobilization effort and strength.
Yeah, but some would say that if you go to this rally, you also see that some of those who turned out at this rally were for the House of Rep candidates, the senatorial candidates, the state houses of assembly and governorship candidates. So it's not necessarily for the presidential candidate alone. So all the people who turned out cannot necessarily be attributed to the presidential candidate alone. What do you make of such criticism?
The campaign is interwoven. You see, every aspirant for the House of Assembly, for all the other offices, House of Assembly, House of Representatives, Senate, and Governor, they campaign, and the President, they campaign for the party, and they campaign for other candidates, and they campaign for themselves. So the campaign are interwoven. So therefore, on the campaign, when I was listing the several layers of campaign organization and efforts, I did not include this, but definitely the candidates are also presenting themselves. The Governor's Campaign Council, the Campaign Council and team of the senators, the House of Representatives, the House of Assembly, chairmen, councillors, all those who are competing and contesting for offices, in our party, collapse, their campaign into the major campaign outing like this. And we show that we are behind our party and we are behind our presidential candidate.
Do you think other political parties should be afraid because of this showing?
Today? This thing is not coming.
What sort of message do you think you will be sending to other political parties with this huge crowd today?
The size and the popularity of the party, of the APC, and the mobilization effort, none of it came by accident. We sacrificed to form APC. We denounced and subsumed our regional, religious, and tribal identities into APC in 2013.
Yeah, but some of your opponents have been saying that the APC has been rejected by Nigerians. When you see this kind of crowd, what sort of message will you be saying that you're sending back to your opponents?
The point is, you see, I'm talking practically as a professional, you see. I'm using facts and figures. I'm looking at what is there and why this thing is happening. This is no conjecture or guesswork. And any party that wants to have that kind of outing or mobilization has to put up effort, you see, to sensitize people to bring out such kind of a crowd. This crowd wouldn't just come by accident, wouldn't come out because of money or anything. Would definitely, let me tell you this.
Your opponents, I just have to inject that. So some of your opponents have been saying that you're paying people to come to these rallies.
And then Kano is also one state that is also grateful to the APC government, because the governor there is performing. He is a leader who has over 60 years of public service experience. We are also we've just commissioned the Kano dry port. We are working on the AKK gas pipeline. We are working on the Kano-Lagos rail line. We have, opened and transformed the airport. We are trying to increase, power supply to that area, to, open up the industrial zones that have died in the last 30 years. The people of Kano know our achievements and the promise we have for them. And indeed, just before that, Asiwaju and his team have been in Kano a number of weeks ago. They met all the stakeholder groups, the business community in Kano, which is very strong and vibrant. Kannywood, which is the biggest film industry in Nigeria, and the music industry there, he met them. He met, the clergy, for instance, of the entire Northwest. So these things are not just coming by accident. We have, campaign approach and model and framework, overt and covert, to sensitize, mobilize, and bring our people to support us.
Yeah, but when I ask this question, I'm asking because that's what your opponents are saying, that you're paying people to come to your rallies. As the governing party, you have all the monies to play around with. What do you make of such kind of talks by either the PDP or Labour Party or NMPP?
No, it is not true. People are, if you say logistics, for instance, transport is prepared, refreshments and so on are prepared for people to gather, and participate in this kind of rallies, I can understand. But people cannot just be bought a crowd like that, cannot be paid to come and show up. Actually, you see, we don't have that kind of plan. We are carrying out an issue-based campaign, and we are showing our attainments and achievements under this government, and we are also looking at the pledges and the promises we have for Nigerians. going forward with this caliber of leaders that we are presenting to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari.
Okay, well, President Buhari scored 1,464,000 votes in the 2019 elections in Kano, and the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar got 391,000. Do you think that the APC, with Tinubu as a flag bearer of the party, can achieve that feat in 2023?
In fact, we know in Kano the number of registered voters has increased by over 1 million to over 6 million today. And looking at the momentum, the level of our campaign, and what we intend to, how we intend to deepen this campaign in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we believe that we can score more than 1.4 million that we recorded in 2019. We are set to achieve more than that because there are 6 million registered
even without
voters.
Buhari on the ticket, because most people keep saying that it's because of Buhari. That's why people will come out.
One thing about President Muhammadu Buhari's campaign, he was very popular, and he had a lot of volunteers, supporting him. And in the case of President Muhammadu Buhari, the kind of intensity of the campaign was not even the kind of intensity of campaign that we have today. Is much more different. We know that, you see, we don't have that advantage of a cult, figure, someone who is charismatic, someone who is trusted by Nigerians, someone who has natural followers who believe in his sincerity and authenticity, as a patriot. But the point is, because of that, we are intensifying the campaign to ensure that more people are brought out on conviction, on the promise that our parties, our leaders hold, our candidates hold for them. So we are intensely campaigning, because right now, you see, as I told you, was in Kano and spent like 3 days about a month ago. Now he went 2 days ago and spent several nights meeting, all the stakeholders and leaders and groups. And all these layers of candidates and campaign organizations are campaigning, because we know that we don't have the luxury of a charismatic leader like President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah, and people are worried that Buhari is not following your candidate to go around to campaign for him, especially in a very critical state like Kano. What will you say to that?
President Muhammadu Buhari is a statesman, in politics. And throughout his period and time in politics, he has always managed that tension between being partisan and being a statesman. And but he knows that everything that happened today, the APC and all the achievements of APC, he was the force and the power behind it. He is 100%, I can tell you, committed to the success of our party and to the success of our candidate, because he encouraged everything that we did in APC. Behind the scenes, he encouraged continuous engagement. He encouraged continuous meetings to bring out a consensus to ensure peace and unity in our party. You can understand that today, in spite of the rigorous and tumultuous, processes in the primaries and the national convention that we went through last year, our party has remained united and intact, largely because of the personal intervention and engagement of President Muhammadu Buhari with all the stakeholders individually and as a group. So President Muhammadu Buhari knows that he is responsible for the status quo today. All the achievements that were made in this party, in terms of, the tangibles and the intangibles, the weekend media were acknowledging the tangible achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari: airports, bridges, roads, and so on and so forth. But they also talked about the intangibles which they didn't see, the Nigerianness. What has he contributed to enhancing the consciousness of Nigerianness? What has he done in promoting democracy and rule of law? He has done so much in promoting democracy and rule of law. The fact that today people have become more confident in INEC, and they have registered in huge numbers, rising from 70-something to 95 million, is as a result of the enabling environment, the power and the non-interference in INEC. The judiciary is working, and any pronouncement they make, is respected, and they know that there is no executive interference. So what I'm saying is, this dispensation that has deepened democracy, that has turned Nigeria to a law-driven, country, this dispensation where institutions of state are respected and they are working, President Muhammadu Buhari brought about this dispensation, and he will support. And he will support the continuation of this dispensation for strengthening
that's
democracy.
Your thinking, because what we are hearing is that there are plans to actually betray Bola Tinubu in the north. Some northern leaders are not coming out fully to come and talk, and that from the speech of President Muhammadu Buhari emphasizing on free, fair, and credible elections, it looks like he's not going to offer state support. I mean, you know that as a governing party, the presidential candidate of the ruling party will at least like to get some sort of moral support from the outgoing president.
My goodness.
And some people are saying that it looks like Buhari is shying away from offering that.
Absolutely not. You see, the point is, you see, President Muhammadu Buhari, you know, was, he came into politics in 2001. At the time when he was a statesman and he was, you know, enjoying his freedom and holiday, you know, his retirement. Now, since he came, he accepted to be in politics, but he pursued a purpose-driven politics. He was preaching deepening of democracy from day one. His rallying cry and theme was that people should register, vote, and protect the vote. President Muhammadu Buhari never said that I am special, vote for me. But he said that Nigerians are entitled to electing leaders they want, and Nigerians are entitled to good governance. This he emphasized for the 20 years. Look, in the last campaign, I was the Deputy Director General in the 2019 presidential campaign. For one moment, President Muhammadu Buhari did nothing to attract attention to himself, but to the issues. He admonished us to appeal to Nigerians with decency, with respect and decorum, convince them and persuade them, show them what we have done, you know, in the last 4 years, and show them present to them what we can do in the remaining 4 years. So, President Muhammadu Buhari's language, body language or attitude and so on is that of a father figure, a statesman who is promoting the overall interest of the party, of the country, which is much bigger than the interest, you know, of the party. And that is, you know, what a true statesman. It's a very difficult thing for, even in history, for global leaders to manage
a lot of politicians are saying that he's unlike, the former leaders who are in government and they want to use state resources.
No, the point the point is that, you know, President Muhammadu Buhari has a lot of respect for Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He has always called him my friend and political partner, because just like him, who is fighting for democracy, who has fought for democracy and good governance and rule of law, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has also antecedent in fighting for Nigerian rights, democracy, and rule of law. So they came together to form this party. And again, let me just finally, please, you know, let me just also add that the president, you see, I can tell you on good authority that the president created these circumstances. He oversaw these processes that, you know, led our party to collectively vote for, you know, the emergence of a party leadership and the emergence of a candidate. And the entire party is committed, united, you know, behind our party and behind our candidates. And the cause for which this party was formed and the attainments of this party. And we are proud of what this party has done, you know, in stabilizing Nigeria economically and politically.
But some Nigerians will tell you that they are not so much proud of the APC's performance. Why do you think Nigerians should entrust their votes to the APC again and elect APC into power?
You see, in a country that is challenged, third world country like ours, which is challenged by so many problems, shortage of resources, but high expectations. Clearly, the expectation between what is promised and what is delivered, okay, there's a difference there. But the point is that we are managing a country since we came 2015, you know, that had difficulty, you know, both locally and globally in terms of resource availability and resource management. Now, the fundamental function of leadership, when leaders swear to oath of office and oath of allegiance, is to ensure a climate of fairness and justice. A climate of fairness and justice prevails in the country. That is the major undertaking of leaders. The major undertaking of leaders is to ensure political and economic stability. You know, the fundamental role of leaders to ensure political and economic stability. You know, in the course of our 7-year rule, even though we've been challenged by 2 recessions, COVID and as well as this Ukraine crisis, and all sorts of local as well as international pressures on our economy and our country. And in spite of the low level of political patronage and confidence of Nigerians in our institutions, we've been able to keep Nigeria stable and growing. And there is evidence of the performance of this government in every state of this country, in every corner of this country, whether it is the second Niger Bridge, whether it is the Lagos-Ibadan rail, whether it is the Lagos-Ibadan road, whether it is the East-West road, whether it is the Kano dry port, whether it is the AKK line. We have, look, plethora of concrete achievements.
But you and I know that there's hunger in the land, there's issues of insecurity, and of course a lot of people are saying that the cost of living under the APC has gone down drastically. I mean, compared to what the prices of basic commodities were when you took over in 2015.
We are aware of this because no leader, you see, can do or perform more than the resources available to it. But this, when we came in 2015, about 30 states were not even paying salaries. President Muhammadu Buhari ensured that he kind of worked out a way of giving out bailout of 1 trillion to them. He also ensured that another 1 trillion naira in terms of this local government, Paris debt, monies which were held previously were also released. We also went ahead to review salaries of the police, salaries of the public service. And right now there's review of salary that is going on at the moment, which the labor minister announced just last week, that in the new year there will be a new salary structure for Nigerians. And you see, there is also
I just have to chip in there because they said it's allowances, not salaries. I mean, there was another statement saying that it's actually allowances and not an increment in salaries.
Well, the point is this. You see, we are not unaware of the challenges and the difficulties that Nigeria is facing at the moment. But the government is working hard, you see, on many fronts to bring relief and ameliorate, the sufferings of Nigerians, especially those in the lower class. We have one of the biggest social investment programs in this country. The government set up, the first, 4 years from 2015 to 2019, the government spent 619 billion in dishing out money to the vulnerable and the lowly in the society. In the second tenure, this was upgraded to a Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. There are serious interventions everywhere where vulnerable people live.
133 million people are still jobless, poor, and all of that.
But this is statistics. And this statistics was even, triggered by the APC government, for the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics to come out and to really show the shortages and the shortcomings, in many areas.
Nigerians will punish the APC for this. I mean, a lot of people are saying that they've become poorer under the APC-led federal government. Why should they entrust their power to you? I mean, their vote to the APC again in the midst of all of the circumstances, because you have opportunities and choices before these voters. There's Atiku Abubakar there, there's a Peter Obi there, there's Rabiu Musa Kwankwan. So don't you think that the APC is in big trouble with these options that are available to the voters?
Well, for now, you see, I can tell you that the major responsibility of leadership is not to say, okay, I'll make you a millionaire, or I'll make all Nigerians millionaires or billionaires. The major responsibility of leaders to ensure a climate of peace and justice and fairness, a situation where the institutions of state work, a situation where everybody gets his right and his dues, a situation where there is confidence in our institutions and government. So right now, the issue of inflation, I'm not an economist, but this issue continues occurring and reoccurring. That, okay, why was cement 1,000 some 10 or 20 years ago? Today cement is selling for 4,000. Or in 2014, rice is 8,000. But in 1999, it was 2,000. You understand? In 1999, rice was 2,500, but it came 8,500, and now it's all over 20,000. Well, people ask this kind of questions. So me, I'm not in a position to explain, how economy, micro, macro, and comparative economy works. But the point is that, you see, at any one time, what is important is people getting involved, people getting their rights, whatever is their salary, and getting the access, to government, getting being secure and so on and so forth. These are the fundamental,
the opposition say these are the things that you use to chase them out of government. The PDP telling Nigerians you're going to make life, much more easier for them, and that, look, things have become much more difficult, and the APC has gone borrowing in this government and all of that.
In 2014,
isn't this a huge challenge? I'm asking this question because the young people, if you would have read the letter that Obasanjo has written to young people, is asking them to take back their country, that the APC seems to have taken them to hell.
Look, I'm too small to comment on Obasanjo, but what I'm telling you, what I'll tell you, my brother, is that in 2013, 2014, Nigeria actually was facing existential crisis. A situation where people were not being paid salaries. The federal civil servants were not getting salaries. In some states, 1 year salary, 1.5 year salary were not being paid. The Boko Haram and other, criminal elements and self-help groups, they were bombing Nigerians all over. In my own part of the country, the Northeast, a large chunk of the country had been taken over by bandits, and they were, raising flags and taxing citizens. As if we, Nigeria, had lost sovereignty over these lands. But today, you see, we have overcome these security challenges. Organized insecurity, has been degraded. No part of this country is under control of any other sovereignty but our security agencies. Everybody is receiving a salary, regardless, you see, of the inflation. We also have Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs that is, attending to vulnerable people, market women and, men.
All of that. Well,
and so on and so forth.
Because, as a government party, the challenges before you are enormous. Do you think Atiku Abubakar will not give Bola Tinubu a very good run for his money in the north, or even a Peter Obi, or even a Kwankwaso in Kano? Very quickly, as we try to run.
The PDP leader, Atiku Abubakar, is a statesman by all measure. I mean, he also has presence, he's well known in the country. But this election will be fought by the parties, PDP and APC.
The Labour Party is non-contested.
The Labour Party, the Labour Party is experimenting a model that is no longer workable in Nigeria. Strongman politics. We followed President Muhammadu Buhari, who was a general of the Nigerian army, former head of state, former minister, former governor, Muslim. In terms of ethnicity, he was Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri. We followed him through 3 elections all over this country. We couldn't make it. President Muhammadu Buhari had to forge this merger to get the national spread to get elected. He told our colleagues, a stakeholder group, that please make sure that you preserve the unity of this party, because it is this party that brought us to national power. So any person who believes that he is a strong man, or he has some kind of television appeal, and he is going about telling people that he can meet these 2 requirements of highest number of votes cast as well as spread by scoring 25% in 24 states. Well, for us, we have to see. We just watch to see, because this is an experiment that wouldn't work. If it didn't work for statesmen like that, how would it work for any local person? So that is no challenge to us. But the point is that the point is that regardless,
that they are not very, very strong contender for the votes in the north, especially Kano, where you held your rally today.
That we are not underrating the PDP and nor any party. I'm just saying, in strategic terms, you see, some of these parties have limitations and constraints. But the point is that the PDP is an old party, but today we are bigger than them. But we are also going to fight for every vote. We are going to struggle, you see, to reach out to Nigerians, because this time around, you see, what will count is the vote. Voters have become more aware and more assertive. The institutions of state, INEC, the security establishment, and the judiciary, under our leadership, encouraged by President Muhammadu Buhari, they have become independent, robust, and neutral, and they have been given all the capacity to ensure and deliver, free, fair, credible elections to Nigeria. So we have no advantage than our own size, our own message.
I let you go, one last one. You are from the northeast. Kashim Shettima is from the northeast, just like Atiku Abubakar. Do you think that Kashim Shettima can deliver the much needed votes for Bola Tinubu in the northeast, considering that Atiku Abubakar, is the son of the soil and is contesting for the presidency? Very quickly before we let you go.
Yes, you see, in the northeast, our party is in control of 3 states. And as I said, even in those states where we don't have governors, where we are not in control, we have very strong presence and stakeholders, whether it is Taraba or Adama or Bauchi. And we can win the Northeast very easily, inshallah. And you see, and for Kashim Shettima is a very interesting person. He's he's also he has experience. He's also a banker, a former banker. He has experience in politics. A very good complement to the ticket of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's a mobilizer and bridge builder and networker. And he right now he's not only influential in Borno State, where he has total control over the party, but he also has good relationship with all the sister states in the Northeast, as well as all the other states in the North, where he was chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, just before Nalong took over. And also, you see, he has not in control for Bola Tinubu. Look, we don't think in regional terms. Okay. I don't want to even think in identity-based terms. This is a party that came together by tearing and burying and diffusing identity-based, identity-tagged parties. ACN, this, and so. We don't talk like that. We talk as APC men, we talk as Nigerians. We have friends in all parts and planets of this country. APC is going to win the election. By the grace of God, APC is going to win this election. We will work hard to win this election. All right. We have all it takes to win the election. But we will work hard. We will not be complacent. We will work very, 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 very hard for everybody. The other men are not saying it that way because they are not endorsing your candidate. I mean, the way they are doing with other candidates of other parties. Like the election will say that. So, whether you see, for instance, in Delta State, you understand, with Omo Agege and the other stakeholders, whether you see this, these elders, I don't want to talk about them, but the point is this. Thank you. I think I can see that you're struggling to actually choose your words when it comes to people like Obasanjo and all of that. Well, we must thank you so much. Waziri Bulama is the former National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, and then, of course, he's been several things, including a member of the National Caucus of the party, and we've been speaking on the grand rally by the All Progressives Congress in Kano, the northwest city that has a lot of votes in the 2023 election. And we must thank you so much for being on the program this week.